Welcome to Reading the Green, a golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike, and the band's back together, Kyle and Jordan, to recap the RTG Invitational. It's Tuesday, October 1st, episode 124. I guess there's a PGA Tour event this week, something called the Sanderson Farms Championship. We'll spend a few minutes on that at the end here. But guys, back to reality after an epic Sunday, huh?
The beer, I'm jumping ahead, Mike, because you just set it up perfect for that. I'm drinking a rude awakening. Sunday was a rude awakening.
It was a beautiful, it was just we got just excellent fall weather in Minnesota here, and what it was like 85 and sunny.
It was July weather is what it was.
Not a soul on the golf course. I know, shorts and short sleeves.
Vikings game kept the people away.
I got a kick out of the fact that I think all four push carts had some form of Vikings radio or video feed running on their phone. We were all independently tuning in.
I just was following Red Zone for my fantasy team. Like, come on. I wasn't tuning into the Vikings Packers.
Come on. All right. Well, it did keep a lot of people off the golf course. I kind of can't believe how empty it was, despite, we had to move the tee time because of guest restrictions. And I was like, there's probably an hour's worth of, we didn't see a single soul out there. There's nobody there.
Yeah. That's October. There should not be guest restrictions at all.
I agree. Well,
it was a forgettable day though.
It was fun was had by all. I guess we'll cut to the chase. You guys couldn't unseat the two-time defending champ, and I took it down, not in, I guess, the dramatic fashion that we've had in the past with putt-offs and chip-offs of me versus Kyle, but it was a little sweaty in more ways than one. And I thought, because I'm sure the listeners really care about this, I thought we should just kind of walk the day, walk the scorecard, and just get some of the highlights.
Let's go. I would actually, let's just put it behind us and talk about, I'm golfing on Thursday in a scramble, so I hope I can shoot better than I did.
I sure hope so. So the final results, we'll start at the end. The final results, net scores. I was net 73, listener Dan net 76, Jordan net 78, and Kyle net 81.
Beep.
But here's the thing that's annoying. This is always how it works out. For some reason, I have written next to your net 81 is that you collected a total of $20, which all came from me.
I did. Well, and that's okay. Yeah, the beauty of getting the strokes is obviously nice, but I got off to a decent start. I know we'll get through the walk here. The wheels never got fully back on for part of the game, and the part of the game they were on came off.
So, but you got off to a great start. So you and I were not partners. We played a 6-6-6 game, so we just rotated partners every 6 holes. And I'm just looking at the card here. You and I were not partners on the first 6 holes. You got off to a great start. That really hurt me. Then you get this stretch from Jordan. On the middle 6 holes, he goes par, 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 birdie, par, bogey. So he's
still shot an 85 on the day.
He shoots 85, and he's even on the 6 holes that he's your partner.
I didn't realize that.
Thank you, Jordan. And then Kyle,
I drove the green. I drove a green there in that window. I literally hit every shot, fairways and greens, 2 putts.
And then Kyle, we partner up for the last 6 holes, and you give me this stretch: double, quad, double. I can make it triple, double. Like,
wait, do you have a quad? Do you have a quad on the par 3, or was it the one before?
I got him for a quad on 15.
15,
the par 4. So we'll go through this, but I'm just saying, this is the nature. It's somehow that was modest. I turned the heat up on the back 9, and I still get crushed, and all the money's leaving my pocket. So.
What's the whole handicap on the one he had a quad on? Because I think it's about the easiest hole. It might be the easiest par 4 on the course.
16. Because the little chip shot par 3, the next hole is 18.
Yeah, par 3s are harder than that hole.
I was 107 yards out, dead center of the fairway. I got a quad. Well, come on. Let's start.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Let's
So here we go. Hole number one, par 4. Kyle, what's going through your mind? You walked off the green here with a par.
I parred it. I think what you give me, you said it was about 25 feet, right on the fringe, made a 25-footer par. Great start to the day. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you set the tone. It was like you expected every 25-footer to go in after that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I set the tone there also with my first 3-putt of the day.
You did, and I made bogey from about 40 yards as well. So we're off to the races. Second hole, no big theatrics. Jordan, I think you had another 3-putt on the second hole.
No, I got a 6, right?
Maybe
and 3-putted.
Yeah,
the highlight of 2 actually was listener Dan's tee shot.
Listener Dan hit it about 35 yards and then hit about a 250-yard 3-wood.
Yeah, it was a hell of a recovery.
It really was. He listener Dan gets up there. I think it was on the first tee. He talked about, really taking it easy, staying inside of himself.
He's gonna bunt with his driver all day. Yeah.
He did hit one like 3 bills off the first hole and then hit the next one about 35 yards. So we'll get to that in a second. Third hole is that tough par 3 up the hill. We played it pretty short because we weren't playing the tips. This is the first like super nasty pin placement that we had of the day, sitting right on the whole green slopes back to front, and there's still like a tier in the middle, and they put the pin right on the front of that tier.
It's literally like dead center in the green on the slope.
Yeah, brutal. I 3-putted that hole.
I made another putt, and that's why the vibe of, hey, I'm going to make all the putts. It was coming. It was started.
It did start. 4, pretty straightforward, par 4. I don't really got much there. Then we get to the par 5, and Kyle, you hit an excellent tee shot up the left side and gave it a go in 2.
Gave it a go in 2, sprayed it a little bit, got offline, but probably hit my best chip of the day to get on, and 2-putt for a par. Again, 2 pars, first 4 holes.
Do you have any questions, Kyle, about my crafty little short game move on that hole?
Remind me, Mike.
You had that bellied wedge from about 60
feet.
The
green.
I mean, I saw the result, but I still don't understand how it's humanly possible.
I mean, sometimes you just get something like that where the green is so sloped, and it's like, well, I have a weird lie in the rough, and it's like if I try to chip this and I chunk it, I'm gonna still have like a 30-foot downhiller. So I bellied a wedge, just try to blade it and just get it rolling, and it rolled down to about 4 feet. So frankly, that was probably my shot of the day. I'm not gonna lie.
No, you had 2 other ridiculous chips on the back 9, so let's not.
I did.
Say that was your shot of the day, and that. When you first hit back there, I thought if the pin is back there, there's no way you get it close. You cannot hit it soft enough to get it on the green and not roll 15 feet past the cup. But the pin was kind of front middle, and you were able to roll it right up there. It was well done.
Hole 6, short par 4, kind of 90-degree dog leg left. Pretty good shots all around. Listener Dan stuffed one in there for...
This is where Kyle lost his driver for the rest of the round.
No, not for the rest of the round, just for one swing. It was the first real squirrely swing of the drive of the day. The driver was pretty solid, and I think I about killed a hawk.
Yeah, and this is the one where listener Dan yanked it 15 yards left, his approach shot, to a tucked pin, and somehow ended up in between the pin and the 3 yards of space to the rough. Great accident.
No business going at that pin. Next hole, par 3. Jordan, you picked up a par skin here. You picked up everyone else made bogey. You made a 3. Gotta feel good about that. Those usually pay double.
Yeah, it was the start of the next 6. What did I?
Right.
How many over was I on the first 6? 10?
Yeah, not 10, but 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 5 over after 6, and then you went even par in the next 6. 8 is the hardest hole on the golf course, long par 4. You hit we both hit pretty good drives. Listener Dan and Kyle got stuck on the left side. But here, Jordan, you ended up making 5. You got hung up on the left side of the green, and then
it had to have been like a half of roll from coming all the way down onto the green there, and it stuck up there, and I just smashed it by. I always do that. It feels like it should be uphill because the whole green kind of slopes down that way, but then right at the edge, it comes back up. And I putted it like I was putting uphill, and I was not. It was not a good effort.
Hole 9 tee shot always gives me a little bit of the jitters just because it's so narrow. You got the giant condo building hanging on the right side, some OB, which I have say in past rounds I put off the roof back into play. Kyle, but this is the first of your 2 quads on the day. So you want to take us through what happened on the driving range?
Yeah, I was feeling pretty happy about where things were going into 9. There was a lesson going on just left of about 150 yards up to the left, and then you have the OB tight right. I don't know. I just yanked it. The drive was a severe duck hook worm burner combination. Then I had a downhill.
We thought we'd have to yell 4 at 2 old ladies getting a lesson in the training space, but it didn't quite get there.
Yeah. But we got up there. I had a look. The tree wasn't my way. I had like a hill lie, so I thought it would kind of spray right on me. It did not. I hit it. Jordan was standing right there. I hit a very nice hybrid, but it just stayed left into the range.
Yeah. And then what happened on the next shot, Kyle? What did your caddy tell you to do, and what did you try and do?
No, well, I listened to the caddy.
No, you
my
didn't.
caddy said,
punch it up to the green.
Punch it low up to the green. It was severe uphill. I'm down and there's overhanging trees. I'm down the range. I tried to punch it. It jumped on me.
Oh, you did try and punch it. It hit so high up in the tree. I thought you tried to go over.
No, that was a 5-iron.
I was literally on the green being like to Mike. I was like, I told him to punch it. Why did he try and go over?
No, I actually should have with the if I would have looked at the line more, I should have, because I could have got a wedge up and over and just short of the green. But I tried to punch it and it jumped, and and then all hell broke loose, and a couple chips, and then I flew one by, and then I just gave up with the wedge and putted out of the rough. Actually pretty good from there, and then made it. But
and despite all of that, Kyle, we went out, and I had a 1-shot lead over listener Dan, and I'll call it a 1.5-shot lead over you and Jordan. So everyone was hanging in there. Thing was pretty tight as we made the turn, and we got fueled up, brats and hot dogs, and pretty much everything else, crushed up granola bars, and we made the turn to this tough little R4 that opens up the back 9 that sounded like you had nightmares for weeks about what you were going to do here.
I was thinking of that tee shot for a long time, and then I ripped it. I was hoping you had the video right here to play, because I hit a beautiful drive.
You hit a beautiful drive. You asked me, why did that turn over? How can I do that more often? And meanwhile, I got it on the card, Jordan, 325 from the back tee. I feel like that must be around the corner, because we gunned the pin at like 280.
276 or something. Yeah.
So you and I
severely
both,
uphill, right?
Yeah. It is. It's I didn't have the slope running. So 275, 280. So you and I both flew it, landed about pin high, and then rolled through the green. I ended up in the bunker. You ended up in the fringe, and that was just another insane pin.
That pin was you hit it. I'm on the same putting the same line as you. You hit yours, trickles past the cup and almost rolls off
on the top side of the cup. I was like 2 feet on the top side of the cup. Ball stops and then rolls 10 feet down the other side. So it was pretty nasty. You and I both make birdie, and then it's kind of like, okay, this is on, and we turn around and go to a tough par 3 11th, and you make another par there.
Yeah.
I 3-putted. Listener Dan 4-putted. Kyle, I got you down for a 6 there. I think you had a little bit of trouble from the fairway short.
I double laid up on the par 3, and then went over the green, and then 2-putted. But hey,
yeah, we go to the 12th hole, which has got its massive fairway, and this is the toughest spot I found myself in all day. I ended up in the hay on the left and actually hit a ball about 4 feet and ended up making double here. But everybody struggled on the greens. This was another one where you like couldn't keep the ball within 10 feet of the hole.
That one was brutal.
It was hard.
So then you back
on the greens.
You back that up with you go to 13, which is this short 340-yard par 4 with this green that's like 25 feet elevated from the fairway and the pin right in front. And if you don't get it up there, it's coming back down 60 yards.
Yeah, happened to me.
So Jordan,
once, and then I chipped it over, and then coming back down, it went too far and went back off, and then I chipped it up, and then I 2-putted.
Just to replay that for those who are at home.
Give us the
drive was 70 yards short.
No, so I was there in 2. My drive was in the right, and I punched it, and it hit the slope and was about 3 feet from getting over the edge and came down.
And then you chipped it up, and it.
And then the next one I chunked, so it wasn't even close. Came back down. Next one I chipped over. And it ended up in the rough in just this really shitty lie. So I tried to just kind of bump it out, almost like what you tried to do, Mike, but you did it successfully on 5, and I did not do it successfully here. Back.
And I felt so bad because I was standing around the front of the green, and it was like everyone, like when you hit it, we're like, oh, that'll be all right. And then it trickles past the hole. Then it keeps rolling. Then I got out of the way because I didn't want my shoe depressions to cause it to keep rolling.
Well, that's one of those ones, like a casual round. We just walk down there and pick it up. But in the RTG Invitational, he's like, oh, he's got to go hit it again. And
then I almost made it, but it still went past the hole, which meant it was straight downhill coming back.
Yeah. Ends up walking out of there with a 7. I did make birdie there, just downhiller like everyone else's putt. And then we go to the par 5. And Jordan, you had a 4-putt.
Yeah.
Hit 2 beautiful shots, great drive, great. You might hit a hybrid or a 3-wood up there. Nice chip shot.
Chip wasn't even, it wasn't bad. Yeah.
And then you almost got on video my from
you
the
were
knees.
Too fast. You were too, yes. So this shot was way better than your other one because you still ended up short of the pin. I don't know how.
It was lucky.
I know you're good on your knees, Mike, but this one was surprising.
Figured that was coming. I had one leg in the bunker, one leg bent and on my knee outside the bunker to get at a ball that had rolled up against the face and to a short-sided pin. And it just like landed just in the rough and trickled on to 7 feet and I made the putt.
How does he do this shit, Kyle, when he's playing with us for that? Like that 1 out of 10 times he gets up and down there.
Honestly,
tournament golf turns it on.
The one knee thing is something that you see people do in the Open Championship and stuff like that. And like, had I not seen professionals try to create weird stances, I would have never tried this stuff in the past. Otherwise, you just walk in there and you're like, well, I have to stand up. Like, how else will I do this? But then you realize, oh, actually, this is a lot more comfortable than trying to reach down 4 feet
or mid pines. Remember,
even if you would have had a normal stance there, you were on the downslope or flat at best, the back of a bunker, a 3-foot lip to 5 yards of space over the lip of the bunker. Like that's an impossible shot anyway, and somehow you pulled it off and then make the putt for your birdie.
Yeah, 3rd birdie in 5 holes. And that's where I felt like this thing kind of got opened up because you had just made double there with the 4-putt. And, it felt like I was in the clear. But then listener Dan turns it on and he makes a par at 15 while Kyle is making a quad, in which you've already mentioned, Kyle, from good position.
Do you want me to break that down further? Just hit beautiful drive, back-to-back holes, beautiful drive. And then the ball striking just, I don't know, it had been so good. That's why I classified that as a rude awakening. I was going into this very high hopes. Ball striking had been great. And just, I couldn't hit a wedge for my life. 9-iron, short game. It was all bad.
Couple chips.
Yeah.
Another
And
tough
so
pin
in
placement.
here, I tried to do. So you asked what the hell happened when I was on the back of the green. I tried to belly wedge and do exactly what you're talking about, but it went like 4 inches and then still got hung up in the thick rough.
Yeah, that was another nasty pin. That was like straight
Yeah.
downhill. And I think somebody rolled a putt by like 6 or 8 feet, and Jordan, you were like, "Don't do that, Mike." And then I did it worse and
I mean, it's
three-putted that
impossible.
one.
That if you are that side hill or above it,
Yeah, to that front
there's
pin.
like almost no way that you can get it to stop.
Same deal happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said I lipped out coming down the hill and then ended up 3-putting.
Yeah, I don't know
So
what
go to
the
this.
greenskeeper.
It
Like we
was
thought we had our the revenge, greenskeeper's revenge Friday, and like we saw some of those pins out there, and they were even stupider. But it's like, you know what? Let's just move it. Let's just move it a couple feet.
yeah.
Like they were just feeling lazy.
They were tough. We go to the par 3 16 and thought this was funny. At some point here, everyone was putting for a net bogey from about 3 feet, and we just called it good around. But this is another pin that looked pretty benign. Then you get up there and you were like, how do you even like hit these putts?
Yeah.
That was another
one, though. All of your guys' downhill putts weren't they didn't roll out like every other green. Like that's that one, whatever is that spot or whatever. It's not the, I told Dan, I've never seen anyone putt it off, and he was laughing at me. And then he hit it way too hard, and it still stopped 3 feet past the cup. Right. So I don't know what it is about that spot, but it slows it down.
It was weird. It was a little weird. And this is where I had the third of my ridiculous chips where my ball stopped, like somehow stopped on the face of the bunker, not in the sand. And I just tried to make contact with the golf ball, and I half shanked it straight right, but it was spinning so hard left that it hit the green and then just spun back straight towards the hole to like 4 feet. I missed that putt, but it was you're right, Jordan. I did have a few just lucky shots. So then we go to 17 and we decide to tally up the scores. And it actually comes down to where I have a 2-shot lead over listener Dan, a 3-shot lead over Jordan, and a 4-shot lead over Kyle. Gross. And that was like with strokes applied and everything, or with net. So with strokes applied for the whole 18. And so it's pretty close. And anything could happen. 2-3 strokes isn't impossible. And listener Dan makes a 15-foot putt across a ridge for a par save on 17. And I turn around and 3-putt from 30 feet. And I'll be honest, we went to 18T. I tightened up, not in a bad way, but was like, ooh, this is 1 stroke for listener Dan. He could do this. He just went, par, bogey, par, but he pulls a Kyle on 18, makes a 3, makes a 4, like it could be on. So I locked in and hit it like 300 down the middle. And
yeah.
And then Dan hit his tee shot.
Dan duck hooks it. Yeah.
Dan hit it. I was like, he does it. All he has to do is hit this ball just not in jail, just to add a little bit of stress.
He pulled out his driver. He hit his 3-wood perfect every single time. You know what? I'm going to hit driver on 18. Rookie move, Dan. Move.
I will say 18 is visually probably the hardest tee shot out there, right?
It's very weird. It's a great finishing hole. You have so many things working. You have these trees that crowd in on the right, but there's actually a lot of room down the right. But you have to have the confidence to kind of hit it over these trees that are like 100 yards out. But then you have these bunkers that frame on the left, and if you miss very left, you're in the water basically.
Yeah. So it's the only 2 shots that water's really in play. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great finishing hole. And so unfortunately, listener Dan needing a strong finish makes double at 18, and I end up with the 3-shot win. But it was fun. It was good. It was good competition. And I'll say this in conclusion. This was the first year we filled out the RTG Invitational with an actual invite, and I thought listener Dan did a great job fitting the bill for a solid 4th in this event.
Agreed. Thanks for coming, Dan. Disappointing round for me. Just didn't have the ball striking working. The irons they ran away from me on the day. I don't know what happened.
I wish I had any excuse. I even putted great on the range or on the practice.
That was your problem.
Yeah, you got there too early, Jordan.
I mean, Jordan, your final tally on putts was 40. That's absolutely unheard of. That's like as a player of your ability, I'm sure you probably haven't done that in years, if ever.
I've had very few even 3 putts all summer. Like I've been putting very well. Even Hazeltine last Monday, I putted out of my mind. Like I think I had 1 3-putt, and it was because I started on the other side of a green.
Mm-hmm.
Made a bunch of long putts. If I would have putted like I did at Hazeltine, I would have shot like a 64.
Well, if only I would have hit my irons within the broadside of a barn, I would have shot
it.
90.
I like it, Kyle.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts on the RTG Invitational? I look forward to next year. We might maybe we'll have a location change. We don't know. I mean, I love the spot, but it might be fun to mix it up. I feel bad walking in Jordan's home course and beating up on him.
Jordan, we have to get it done next year.
I know.
Or we have to go to a 3-group field, something. We need to change this.
I'm gonna bring air horns, whatever it takes. If he's playing well, he's gonna get shit. It's gonna get weird for him next year. He is not winning. Maybe we'll make him. He has to ride in a cart next year by himself.
That is automatically it's like a +3 stroke difference for me.
Actually, you know what? We'll put him in there, and I'll drive the front 9. You drive the back 9. We can really mess with him then. Park on the wrong side of his ball. Park too close.
We're changing up the music. We're getting after it. IPAs only.
Yeah. I'm like a high noon, solid high noon only.
We'll pick him. I will drive to his house and pick him up and start serving him THC drinks in the car on the way.
You did offer at the turn. I thought that was a good idea, but then I felt like I really needed to lock in. So, all right. Well, Jordan, is it bedtime for you?
Yep. I'm done. All right. This. I give up. I don't PGA in the fall.
That's all right.
I go to college football, pro football. Should I create a RTG thing?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's been weak. I haven't done it in a while.
You're good.
Everyone's excited for the Sanderson Farms.
Yeah.
The one that I thought was in Chicago. Is there a farm one in Chicago?
Rich Harvest Farms. Conway Farms.
Or maybe the John Conway Farms. And I was also thinking of the John Deere Classic, but that's Milwaukee, right?
That's a farm. That is in Illinois.
Oh, is it? All right. Well, I'll get this created. Yeah. I'll make my picks, not knowing anything about anything here, and then we'll see how much money I win from you guys.
You got it.
It's a good week for that, Jordan.
Yes.
A little hint.
All right. See you, dudes.
See ya, Kyle. Sanderson Farms, is it at the Country Club of Jackson or the Jackson Country Club, Mississippi?
Somewhere in Jackson, Mississippi.
This is one of those ones, you take a peek at the salaries for DFS, and you got Keith Mitchell in top billing, and you just say, okay, buckle up.
We love our boy Killer Keith, even though he didn't really pay out for us last year, but I fully agree. So we have the Sanderson Farms Championship. It is actually at the Country Club of Jackson. It has been here since 2014. There's water in 5 holes. Bermuda, most of the course. Champion Alterdorf Bermuda on the greens. Last year's winner, Mike, do you remember who?
That is a great question. I'm going to go with distance. I mean, we got to have distance on this golf course. And so who's a guy like I don't remember. Tom Kim.
I thought you were going to talk yourself into it for a minute. I would have been very impressed. Luke List at 70-1.
Oh, really? Because I look at this and I look at the 9th most correlated to success golf course for putting. Well, and so how are we getting team no putt?
See, this is the key of this week. So Luke List beat Ben Griffin last year in a playoff. Ben Griffin just needed to not suck on Sunday, and turns out he did. He shot +1, ended up in a playoff, or he needed +1 to win. He shot +2, ended up in a playoff with Luke List, and lost that playoff. The crazy part about this event is we've had a little bit of everything. We've had great ball strikers wins. We've had favorites win. We've had long shots win. We've had great putters win. We've had a bomber and a bad putter win as Luke List. So it's kind of one of those weeks that just pick your lane and go with it. From a general course perspective, the par threes are fairly hard. Super easy par fours, long par fives, but easy little risk. So that is one take, kind of what you're saying, Mike. I do like the bomber lean. But it's not a must by any means. We've had other people do just well out here. But I think if you're looking at something, that par 5 scoring makes a lot of sense. They're pretty straightforward. You can't get in trouble. Guys are pulling driver pretty much every hole. So might as well be longer and hope for a good putting week. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty boring course. I like to kind of think of Detroit, but it's Southeast Bermuda. So if I was building out a model, par 5 scoring, Bermuda putting, comp courses in the southeastern part of the United States, just some of those easier tracks down that way. It's good course history, guys. So that's how you end up with somebody like a Ben Griffin in the playoff last year. What else do you see, Mike?
Well, like you said, you've seen years where all kinds of stat profiles have done well. I was just kind of getting into the model, and I know you usually take us through the handful of top names. So why don't you do that? Give me like 5 or 6 top names that we're seeing, and then I want to just figure out what the heck is going on with this guy.
Leading the way so far is JJ Spawn. He's 9,900 this week. 70% of the mention share. We'll caveat that with, we are in the fall swing. So our contributors are limited. We have some Jordans of the world. But so far, the MPI, those that are on JJ Spawn love it. Andy Lack, Spencer Aguilar, Matt Gannon, Lee Aldrich, Len Hochberg. So we have a lot of people that are focused on Spawn this week that have been performing pretty well for us lately, especially when we look at those last 6 to 8 events. After that, we have Ben Griffin, who we just mentioned was in a playoff here last year, 77 on the MPI, 60% mention share. Henrik Norlander, 50% MPI, and 50s in the mention share as well. Then Nick Hardy, only 7,100. Mention share at 40%. MPI is pretty soft so far on old Nick. And then we have a couple folks at 30% mention share. Garrett Higo, Matt Kuchar, Patrick Fishburne.
Henrik Norlander has absolutely owned this golf course in 4 events, 16 rounds, 2.4 strokes gained total, the second most of anybody with any experience on this golf course. And you can honestly say certainly the most of anyone that's played this golf tournament more than once. What has Henrik Norlander been up to? He splits his time a little bit. I guess he plays a few events on the DP World Tour. Did not make the FedEx Cup playoffs, but he did finish the season with 4 straight made cuts, 61st, 25th, 11th at the Barracuda, 12th at the 3M. I guess he did get cut at the Wyndham Championship. Hasn't gained strokes putting really, I guess, maybe even putter at the ISCO, but really hasn't gained strokes putting since the RBC Canadian Open, if you're talking about PGA Tour events. But he's been a fairly solid ball striker. There was a time like 3 years ago when you could just ride Henrik Norlander. I think it was this part of the season. This must have been it. This part of the season when it was just, who's this towering Swede that I can just get behind every week that's absolutely owning these off-season events? Is it time to get back on Henrik Norlander? Do we have I don't have a projected ownership on him right now, but he kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it actually, one of the other comp courses I've heard from this week, if you just kind of think about skill set that makes sense, is Torrey, but like a easier, shorter Torrey Pines. And I don't know why it so vividly sticks out in my mind. I believe it was 2 years ago. Norlander just popped up out of nowhere and being awful. It had been awful. And I think he really faded on Sunday, but it was contention at Torrey as well. So maybe there's something there. You know, one person I was going to look at, Mike, that is on this list is like Matt Kuchar. And I was like, oh, $8,500 for old Cooch this time of year. Maybe he's out grinding, doing some things, when, others aren't. Like, let's take a look. Well, first off, he hasn't played Sanderson Farms anytime recently. But when he has, way in the past, at a different course, but played the Sanderson Farms Championship, he never made a cut. So I'm kind of confused at what we're looking at there with old Cooch too, and surprised he's getting a little bit of love. Unless, I was like, oh, am I looking at this wrong from a course history perspective? But no, I maybe that's the Southeast Bermuda lean with Cooch, but the CI guy, but I don't know what's going on there. I can't probably make that click at 8,500. I am very intrigued by Ben Griffin this week, 9,500. Just a guy that seems to do really well in those Southeast courses outside of just last year. Has a decent course he's not going to lose off the tee. Good on approach and can really pop with the putter. I'm intrigued by Ben Griffin. Where do you go after that, Mike?
Well, so first of all, the pricing here is really fun this week because I think you get a number of guys in the 9Ks that are just kind of blowing my mind. And the guys in the 10Ks, again, with kind of minimum research here, but with guys in the 10Ks, it's just got Keith Mitchell, Seamus Power. I mean, Seamus Power actually has had a pretty good run to the end of the summer. He just hasn't played a ton recently, but hasn't missed a cut since the U.S. Open. But we're paying 10-2 for Seamus Power. We're paying 10-4 for Keith Mitchell. We're paying $9,900 for JJ Spawn. I think it's kind of fun to just have like these guys that like just totally go against the grain for what you'd expect a 9 or 10K golfer to be. And so you gotta set that aside. I love Ben Griffin when Ben Griffin is supposed to play well. I think he's usually been good for us. I'm going back to, I want to say, the John Deere this year. I think we were all over Ben Griffin that week. He had a fantastic weekend, got himself in the mix. So I'm with you on Ben Griffin. I love him to run it back this week. The one that's really blowing my mind right now is Patrick Fishburn.
I was hoping you'd go there, Mike. Yeah, so Patrick Fishburn, third at the Pro Tour Championship, missed the cut at the Wyndham, T6 the 3M, third at the Barracuda, 15th at the ISCO. So some alt field events in there, a little bit of everything. He has the missed cut in there, but it looks like that week basically his putter let him down. Overall, though, he's been a good ball striker. He's generally gained off the tee. You have to go all the way back to the Valspar last March since he lost off the tee. Yes, are we usually paying $6,000-$7,000 for this guy? We are, but I think Patrick Fishburn, I mean, with how he's been playing in a field like this, makes a lot of sense this week. I will tease a little bit. I took him as a bet. Maybe like that a little bit more than clicking on $9,400 Patrick Fishburn, who I'm guessing is going to get some love, because I think just from a general build standpoint this week, and it hits on exactly what you were talking about, Mike, I think people are going to skip those 10s. It's like, why am I going to pay 10-4 for Keith Mitchell when you can go down to somebody with the form of Patrick Fishburn or the course history of Ben Griffin? So I think you can maybe stay at that 10 and get a little different. But I think Fishburne's perfectly in play this week, and that's why I bet him during my 8-hour trip to Ohio today.
So maybe we should just cut to it because we're already running long on a show that's, honestly, this is for fall golf. But I want to cut to my initial build here because I think there's a couple of locks that our model are pointing to. Unfortunately, one of them is Matt Kuchar, which he did have a great week out sipping some wine in Napa, and I can certainly back Kuch again. And then the next one is JJ Spawn. Yeah, 26th at the Procore, third back at the Wyndham, ninth back at the 3M. Like, how much are we really putting stock into golf the guys played back in August when they haven't really been competitive golf since then? Guys who are not playing in the PGA Tour, the FedEx Cup playoffs, or the President's Cup. He's got 2 missed cuts in 5 appearances at the Sanderson Farms, but our model right now is telling me JJ Spawn is our top power ranking player. So I'm going to go Spawn, Kuchar. I then have a feeling that our Calcutta guys are going to come through this week because the Calcutta is not running anymore. So I have a pretty good feeling about guys like Brandon Wu and Keith Mitchell, who have both really been non-existent from a competition standpoint. Keith specifically missing 4 cuts in 4 appearances at the Sanderson Farms, but he's got the stat profile to play well here this week. Yeah. And if I can get a little bit of an ownership break at 10-4, like, it's not hard for me to find value elsewhere, especially if I think if I kind of like Brandon Wu at 6,500, then hey, we'll just throw Nick. I don't love Nick Hardy in this spot in my 6th pick here, but I'm going to pencil Nick Hardy in right there. I really want to see where the ownership is on Keith Mitchell, because if you're right, if guys are skipping the 10Ks, then I think I want to get different a little bit and maybe stick with Keith, who I do think can play well here. If not, I do love Ben Griffin, and then I think if Patrick Fishburne, all else equal, like, that would be a fun play even at 9,400.
I like you with Keith this week. I feel like that burns me so often, but I'm going with you, man. I like that concept.
This would be the week, right? This would be the week that he would do it when it doesn't matter for us. So I might as well reap some of the benefit.
Double down. I like it. Well, I don't have a whole lot of other strong opinions from the DFS standpoint, but I did make some bets.
Yeah, let me hear them.
So, I was in Ohio real briefly today, taxiing out to leaving the airport, and I'm like, wait, is sports betting legal in Ohio? It is. So I had to get a couple things in real quick. I already mentioned our boy Patrick Fishburne at 30. I took Ben Griffin at 30 as well, also with the first round leader, hoping he shakes off that little bit of rust at 45. Taylor Moore was getting some steam. I know it sounded like some people got him on Monday at like 70, but he's down to 40 in most places. But, I love a community win, so jumping in there. And then some of my longer shots, Pearson Coody at 75. There saw a good thread out there from Andy Lack, just highlighting some of the key stats he felt from this week, and if he tried to squint at who could maybe be a good correlation, Pearson Coody made sense there. And then our boy Joel Dahman was only at 110. At 110. I was like, yeah, Joel 110 seems like a good number. Maybe we could pop up and win this week. It could be Joel.
I like those plays. I like those plays, and I think Joel has had some decent form here, and so there's no reason not to back him, especially you said 110. Like, gotta love that. So no love for 2-time champion and defending champion Luke List.
I didn't even see where Luke was, but no, I'm not a Luke List backer. He's a guy that I've just come to peace with. I'm never gonna get right.
He let me just give you a little bit of update on Luke List here. He's doing kind of Luke List things, mashing the ball, losing strokes left and right. Cut at the Wyndham, cut at the 3M, cut at the Barracuda, cut at the Scottish, cut at the John Deere, 67th at the Rocket Mortgage, cut at the KLM, cut at the RBC, cut at the Schwab, cut at the PGA. He's got 10 miscuts in his last 11 events.
I was waiting for you to say T4. Like that would be the Luke-less thing.
Nope.
Like cut
Nope.
T4. So it's funny you brought that up. I looked up one other golfer playing this week too, Taylor Montgomery. And I was like, oh, what's old T-Mon up to? So cut at Genesis, T60 at Cognizant, T11 at the Players. Like, all right, cut, withdraw, T44, 74, cut. How does that guy finish 11th at the Players? It is so, I mean, he's always an amazing putter, but everything else couldn't be more red.
Well, I guess there's probably very little chance that I tune into any of the golf this week. I'll just put it out there. We're going out of town. We got a little cabin weekend. I will be out in the greater outdoors in northern Minnesota. So not going to watch much golf. We'll get a little on the line. But from a viewing standpoint, I am very excited for next week's event at the Black Desert Resort and Golf Course in Ivins, Utah, for the Black Desert Championship. I'm pretty excited to see some Utah golf.
Me too. Now I was, yeah. Let's go.
You had no idea this was an event this year.
No. A little while we're teasing future events, Philadelphia Cricket Club hosts an elevated event in 2025.
They do. The Travelers?
No. It's a new sponsor.
Well, right. Is it? No, Wells Fargo. The Quail Hollow, whatever. Yeah, Wells Fargo is going to be at Philadelphia Cricket Club.
But it's not Wells Fargo anymore. It's something It's some company I've never heard of.
Yep. Well, yeah. So a couple new sites that are coming up. That's exciting. Well, anyways, you got anything else?
No, sir.
All right then. You can follow us at RTG Podcast DFS on Twitter, our YouTube channel, Reading the Green. New episodes on most Wednesdays. Sometimes the fall can get a little iffy, but it's never too early to start teasing the Weird Beer Night, which will be here before we know it, sometime in December. And of course, on any major podcast platform, we'll be back. I guess we'll pencil it in. We'll pencil it in for next week for the Black Desert Championships as we teased it out. Otherwise, good luck at the Sanderson Farms. See you.